everyone, and welcome to Fighting Over the Card Catalog, a snarky look back on young adult novels of the 80s and 90s. I'm Jess.
I'm Steven, and I'm here to make my wife happy.
We're taking a journey to find out how many terrible, and hopefully some not so terrible books from my youth I can get my husband to read before he reconsiders this whole marriage. Hi.
Hey, baby.
Oh. So this week
first of
read...
all, are we calling her Anastasia or Anastasia?
Oh, Anastasia.
All right.
I didn't even consider a fancy pants of it. Would you prefer to call her Anastasia?
It's just fun to say.
Okay, well, this week we read Anastasia, or Anastasia Krupnik, by Lois Lowry, written in 1979. Tell us about it.
She's smart, sassy, and totally unique. She's Anastasia Krupnik. To Anastasia Krupnik, being 10 is very confusing. For one thing, she has this awful teacher who can't understand why Anastasia doesn't use capital letters or punctuation in her poems. Then there's Washburn Cummings, a very interesting 6th grade boy who doesn't even know Anastasia. See, my mind is like mixing it up.
That's cool. We can go back and forth.
Doesn't even know Anastasia's alive. Even her parents have become difficult. They insist she visit her 92-year-old grandmother, who can never remember Anastasia's name. On top of that, they're going to have a baby. At their age? It's enough to make a kid want to do something terrible. If she didn't have her secret green notebook to write in, Anastasia might never make it to her 11th birthday. So I'm going to point out, first of all, the person they have on the front cover of this book is no way 10 years old. She's probably like 13 years old or so.
Yeah, the chick on our edition, which is from 93, has actually actress Anna Klumsky, who was in the My Girl movies.
Oh, okay. She looked kind of familiar.
Yeah.
Or what?
But... So I think it's because there's like 9 books in the Anastasia series, and they obviously shot them all at the same time.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looked like she was on all the covers. Like at the back of this book, it shows a bunch of the books, and she's like on the cover of all of them. So,
and she does age a few years.
Yeah, I mean, in one of them, it looks like the brother is like 7 or 8 years old, and it's still the same person playing a 10-year-old.
So, yeah. But, I never showed you the cover of the old one. It's a drawing, and she looks 10.
All right.
Actually, there are a lot of covers. I didn't realize. Very cute. But yeah. All right. So, what's your initial impression?
Yeah, it was pretty good. I like the writing. It was, again, kind of irreverent. A little bit of stream of consciousness to make it sound like it's actually people talking and not just trying to, move a story forward.
I love Anastasia.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I love her whole family. Love her parents.
Yeah, her family is pretty good. I mean, they're very, progressive, especially for 1979.
Yes.
I mean, I know there were flower children and stuff back then. Right. It kind of seems like her parents probably came from that generation. They got a little older. Yeah. Yeah, because if they're, her mom is 35.
35, and he's 40.
45, 46, 45. Something like that.
Yeah, I've got it wherever they talk about it.
Pretty close to our age.
Yeah.
So that would put her mom around 60-something, being a teenager.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then her dad in the 50s, so... Yeah, really progressive.
Yeah.
But he's a poet, so I guess...
He's a poet and a English professor.
Right, and she's an artist.
Yes. So
yeah,
they're kind of out there. But still, I think she's probably one of the most original characters in all of young adult books, I think.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And I still really do get genuine joy from rereading this series. So, on the soul-sucking scale, 1 being the best book and 10 being a Dementor's Kiss.
Probably three.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Would you, when you were younger?
I don't know.
Oh.
I don't know. I don't know that I would have related so much at the time.
Because she's a girl?
Because she was a girl and had a progressive family.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
But, I mean, it could have been I don't see it in this book, no. Yeah.
Interesting.
But I can totally see you relating.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I loved it. I'd probably give it a 3 now and then. Maybe a 2 then. All right, so let's get into it. So, Anastasia Krupnik is 10, and she lives in an apartment in Boston, Cambridge, to be exact. And she loves her goldfish Frank, and making lists, and her wart. And yeah, I really identified with that, because I had, for the majority of my childhood, I had 2 warts on my left knee.
No.
And I'd scrape them off, like when I scrape my knees and stuff, they come right back.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we tried stuff, all sorts of, whatever you could get from
Right.
over-the-counter stuff.
Yeah, I know. My son had one. We used the freeze-away stuff, and that worked pretty good.
I think that's what eventually did it.
I had one on my hand, and it was very prominent.
Yeah.
And I ended up cutting it off with some scissors.
Did that hurt?
It was very painful, yes.
Did it bleed a lot?
It did bleed a lot, yes. And it had this, weird pattern on it, because I didn't get the whole thing. I didn't get the root of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So did it stay away?
I remember having other warts. I don't remember if that one came back.
Oh, okay.
They're not there now, though.
Because, my 2 were, they came back exactly the same. Every time. But I didn't love my warts like Anastasia did. I wish I did.
Yeah, I did not either.
Yeah. Because, you could see it, the bumps through, tights and everything, too. Even if they were covered up. Yeah. I don't think I ever got made fun of them, but I felt self-conscious.
Oh, yeah.
She lives with her parents, Myron, who is a professor of literature and a poet, and Catherine, her mom, is a painter, and they shall henceforth be known as awesome parents, capitalized, because they are. I love them so much.
Yeah, I liked how they talked to Anastasia as if she were an adult, even though she's 10,
Yeah, which is how you should talk to kids, I
Absolutely. Think. But you don't often, especially in kids' books, you don't often see parents.
Right.
Or read parents.
Yes.
Talking to their kids as if they're adults and can understand their own concepts.
Right. Because they can. By 10?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's why kids around 10-ish always seem to like me, because I did talk to them like that.
Sure. Whereas probably a lot of adults don't.
Right, and to talk down to them and are patronizing and, or ignore them.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember having actual conversations with my kids when they were toddlers.
Yeah, I'm sure. So I guess all that might be why she's so hella introspective. We pretty much start out with her trying to figure out why she doesn't like her teacher, Mrs. Westvessel. So she makes one of her lists. Things she likes and doesn't like, pros, cons, she loves making lists. So first she thinks it's because Miss Westvessel isn't a good teacher, but she crosses that out right away. Because she's actually a really good teacher, and Anastasia doesn't like to lie, even to herself. Second, because she's old, but she crosses that out as well, because she doesn't act old. She even did a jig in class while they were studying Ireland. And she doesn't smell old. She smells like chalk dust and Elmer's glue, which I just really love. I mean, it's very visceral. And not like medicine and Polident, like at her grandmother's nursing home.
Right.
She finally decides it's because she, Anastasia, is dumb. Not in school, but because she's unique and has different opinions. This quote kills me. She goes, "I'm dumb," Anastasia said sadly to herself, because sometimes, too many times, I don't feel the same way about things that everybody else feels. Like, damn, Anastasia, that's deep. But it doesn't mean she's dumb.
She needs to read more.
Huh?
She needs to read more.
I think so.
To know that other people feel the way she does. To let her know she's not alone in the world.
Right.
But yeah, she is only 10, so...
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of book she's reading at that point.
Her dad's poetry books.
79, like Dick and Jane.
No, probably Judy Blume.
In 79?
Yeah. Then again, maybe I won't with in 73.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
She was probably reading Judy Blume. In another book, she reads Freud, so get ready for that. So for Creativity Week at school, Anastasia has to write a poem, and she's really excited about it. You know, because her dad's a poet. She's like, yes, I can do this too. But she finds it way more difficult than she thought it would be. She works on it for 8 whole days. And when she finished, she's really happy with it. She thinks it's wonderful. I'm going to read it for you now. Hush, hush. The sea-soft night is a swim with wrinkle-squirm creatures. Listen to them move smooth in the moistly dark, here in the whisper warm wet. Thank you. So that doesn't go over very well with the pedantic Mrs. Westfessel. She doesn't appreciate the lack of capitalization in rhyming. Anastasia says it's a poem of sounds. It's about little things that live in tide pools after dark when they move around. It doesn't have sentences or capital letters because I wanted it to look on the page like small creatures moving in the dark. I love her.
So it was a very good poem.
Mm-hmm.
In the teacher's defense, she wasn't listening to the instructions when her teacher was talking about it. Instead, she was already daydreaming about what she was going to do a poem about.
That happens.
Yes. So her teacher said it had to rhyme.
Yes.
And so that in and of itself, she didn't follow directions.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know that would have given her an F for it. But
right. She got an F, and I think that's some bullshit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the awesome parents love it.
Right.
And her dad changes it, the F to fabulous. Because he's fabulous. Did you ever get an F on anything?
I'm sure I did, but I don't remember.
Really?
I know I got Fs on, like, things that I just didn't do. Like, I would do a few questions in class and then just forget to do it over the evening, and then, yeah. But, yeah, that was pretty much it. I don't remember, like, working on a project or something and getting an F on it.
Or a test.
Yeah, I don't remember the test either. Ever getting an F. Yeah, I actually had, like, there were several times in projects where the teacher kept it so she could show next year.
Nerd.
When I was a junior, we had a project in Spanish class that that she showed all the classes afterwards, and this is what I was looking for. And she actually kept it. And when somebody else was taking it the next year, they said, "Hey, we were doing this project," and she brought out your project from last year and showed everybody.
Do you think she still has it?
I doubt she's still at that school, but
we should check. I only got one F ever. That's why I remember.
Only one F ever.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was when I was in Catholic school and not Catholic.
Okay.
And it was on the rosary. And I did not study for it.
Oh.
And thus I failed it. And it was horrifying.
Did you just not care?
Oh, I didn't care. I think it was probably forgot about it too. Because I would never, like, on purpose not study.
Yeah.
Even if I didn't care about it. But I wasn't upset about not knowing the information.
Gotcha. Yeah, not being, like, called out in front of class for something bad was, like, a huge motivator for me in school.
No. And especially since I was the only non-Catholic in that class,
right.
Anything having to do with religion, I would try to stay under the radar.
Right.
Yeah, but, failed that test, and I still remember it. It's a little hard to deal with. I know some things still now, though. I could probably go over a rosary.
Right? Yeah, because you learned it after that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Goddamn right. Okay, moving on, because that was traumatic. Anastasia's fucking pissed. Her parents are gonna have a baby. She thinks her mom's too old at 35. Anastasia's mom said, or Austin's mom says, it's the prime of life. Anastasia argues that 10 is. And I don't know, she might be right. Her dad, of course, says 45 is. What's the prime of life to you?
I'd say probably around 30.
Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, you're still in pretty good shape, pretty good health. But you're outside of that range of still being high schoolish, because you still feel like you're high schoolish even when you're in your mid-20s.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I had a pretty big breakdown when I was 30. So, not from turning 30.
Right.
But yeah, it wasn't the best.
But from life circumstances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And head stuff. And yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So that leads me to think it's just whenever you're truly happiest.
Right.
So I'm going to say I'm in the prime of life right now.
Nice.
Even though my body is breaking down. So maybe not. Maybe like 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe. So apparently they only did ultrasounds on certain women 35 or older back then.
I don't even know if it was an ultrasound because she said it's just a test. So it might have been some testing, some other kind of testing.
But this what led them to find out it was a boy.
Right.
So that's why. Are there other tests?
Well, I'm guessing you can take some fluid or a blood sample, and I don't know specifics of what would be able to tell you that. Maybe amount of testosterone in amniotic fluid. I don't know. So if somebody does know,
yeah, let us know because we know jack shit apparently.
And with all my research I didn't look at it.
Because you probably just had an ultrasound, right?
Yes, by the time I was having kids, that was just
it was in the 90s, yeah. Certain women 35 or older. I mean, I know, isn't 35 even now still considered?
Yes, yeah, that's a high risk pregnancy.
I know it's high risk, but I feel like there's another word for it, like geriatric or something. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, it's a boy. Yay. Yahoo. But not Yahoo for Anastasia, because she said she's moving out. She packs her bag, she goes to leave, but awesome parents convince her to maybe just stick around until closer to when the baby's born. They're not real concerned about it, but they're like, hey, this is a good idea, maybe.
Yeah, I packed my bags to leave at one point.
Yeah?
Yeah,
why?
When I was probably eight or so. Well, because I got picked on all the time, and my parents didn't really care that I got picked on.
Oh, by your brothers?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I was just going to leave. And I did. I packed stuff up. And then it was like...
Was it practical stuff?
It was like some clothes. I probably threw a book in there.
Hell yeah.
I tried to find some food. And then it was like I started thinking about sleeping outside at nighttime. So, I mean, I actually... Because I did this multiple times.
Oh, okay.
And one time I actually went out and hid somewhere. And, eventually it started getting dark. And my parents, they didn't even come looking for me.
Ouch.
Yeah, so...
Did they know?
I probably not that time.
Yeah.
They probably just thought I was outside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I never did it, but I could, I mean, I was out in the woods playing all the time anyway, so.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I did. I went out to the woods and climbed trees. And went walking along the railroad tracks. And,
yeah. Your parents wouldn't notice until sometime.
I mean, to them, I was just being quiet, so.
Yeah.
That was all great.
Yeah. That's awful. Oh.
Did you ever try to run away?
No.
Or threaten to run away?
I don't think so. Not that I remember. I would have been too scared for that. And if she does stick around by the time the baby's born, she can name the baby. So she goes back to her room and unpacks. And then on one of the very last pages of her green notebook in a secret corner, very, very small, she writes down the most terrible name she can think of. So speaking of Catholics, Anastasia decides to become one because there's a lot of them in her class, and she gets to add a new name to her name, and that's really the main selling point. She thinks that's dope and decides on Anastasia Perpetua Krupnik. I think it's lovely. She talks it over with her friend Jennifer, who's Catholic, and she tells her how she'll have to get a dispensation since she's so old and missed her first communion wearing a wedding dress. And Anastasia thinks a dispensation's like a tangible object. And she tells her she'll have to take catechism classes and then she'll be Catholic. It's just that easy. She tells awesome parents about her plans, and they find it both interesting and preposterous. It tickles me to no end, because it is. But when Anastasia learns that she'll have to confess all her secret bad thoughts, she decides, yeah, that's pretty much bullshit, and calls off the whole thing. They tried to make me do confession once during school. No,
really?
They didn't make me. I mean, I guess I was just in line with everybody else in class. And I went and sat down with the priest. We didn't have, like, the screens or anything. Yeah. It was just, like, separate around the pews, yeah. And I just sat down, and I didn't know there was a whole, like, scripted out thing you had to say. The forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been however many days since my last confession. I didn't know that when I was 9. And he was just like, waiting. And I was just like, I don't know.
Did you tell him I don't know what to do?
Yeah. And he was like, okay. And he was like, you're not Catholic. I'm like, no. And so he just sent me back, and I never had to deal with that again. But
nice.
It was so awful. It was, I mean, for a very shy 9-year-old, it was absolutely humiliating. But yeah, I think confession's bullshit anyway.
Oh, yeah?
Now that I know about it, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you just tell this one guy, and then it's like, oh, you're good. No problem. I mean, well, you have to do whatever he tells you to do.
Right.
Like 40 Hail Marys.
Yeah.
And repent. But then you're good?
But then you're good.
What is that? We certainly
Until the
didn't.
next time.
Yeah. But that's why people went like once a week back in the day.
Yeah, so when I was a kid, I used to think, well, I can just sin and then ask for forgiveness, and that's fine. I'll just do it. I'll ask for forgiveness. So I would sin, and then I would immediately ask for forgiveness.
Oh, and you just like had to pray or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You didn't have to confess it.
Yeah, I mean, but then as I went to church more, then they would tell you more and more. So it became, well, really you have to make amends for your sin.
Right.
Yeah.
Which frankly makes more sense.
Yeah. And then, eventually as I became a young adult, you find out, well, according to how it's written, if you sin and you ask for forgiveness and then you sin again, then you weren't forgiven for the first time because you truly weren't repentant. You're only truly repentant if you don't do it again. If you say to yourself, I'm not going to do it again, and therefore you don't.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I don't think it's that way with Catholics. Maybe it is. I don't think so, though.
Yeah.
Because what if you get a different priest the next time?
Right.
They don't know. And they still say you're forgiven.
You think they have a book somewhere where they write down the juiciest ones?
Yes.
You think there's priests that are like, they go to confession just hoping to get a really good one?
I mean, you've got to, right? I mean, that's your job, and you're sitting in that booth for like hours. It's like, come on, give me some good stuff, right?
Right.
And let it be somebody whose voice I recognize. Which, that was another thing I didn't like about how they did it at school. I mean, it made sense because there were like 3 priests around, so, it went faster. But it's like, then the priest who you see every day around school,
right?
He knows it's you, and he knows what you did.
Right.
I mean, maybe that's put more pressure on you.
That's right, yeah.
Yes, but, yeah.
You still have to confess, but then next time you'll think twice about it.
Right. I guess.
So, at one point, my ex wanted to become Catholic.
Oh, no.
And, okay, so I doubt she'll ever listen to this, but she'll probably be like, yeah, that's true. But at periods of time, she's been non-denominational, agnostic, atheist, Pentecostal, Wiccan.
Dope.
And that's the ones I know about. And then she's contemplated others, becoming Catholic. And
was she not Baptist when?
No,
or was she non-denominational then?
Yeah. Oh. Which, when I went to her church, was the first time that I saw people like playing tambourines and dancing in the aisles, and then eventually speaking in tongues.
Oh, okay. Well, that went somewhere different. Yeah. Okay. Wow.
And I had a friend we could get into a whole religion thing, but
yeah.
I had a friend one time I went to his church, and they were casting demons out of people. And we were there
what
for
denomination was that?
It was non-denominational, too.
Oh, okay.
So it was probably like, we were probably there 2.5, 3 hours for a sermon. And like, after like 2.5 hours of sitting there, he goes up and he's like, come with me. And I'm like, no, dude, I'm not going up there. By this time,
no,
I'm like...
thanks, dog, you on your own.
I'm like 14, 15 at this time. And he goes up there, and the guy's like, this child has a demon in him. We have to cast out this demon. And, went into this whole thing where he was grabbing his head and shaking him and throwing him on the floor.
Oh, my gosh.
And I'm like, what is going on here?
Yeah.
At least they don't dance with snakes, poisonous snakes, to show their faith that God's going to protect them. Because there is a church in East Texas that does that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, there are, and it sounds like close to that. I mean, they do all that stuff, too.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's in love with Washington Cummings, who is 2 years older and African American, and he has enormous hair. All this doesn't matter to the Awesome parents, but they're very concerned with her grammar. And who Awesome Mom was in love with when she was 10. Awesome parents get into a really cute fight about it.
Oh, yeah. She was saying something to Anastasia, but it was really directed at...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah, I like that. And, see that sort of fight very often in young adult books. It's like either parents are like really upset or mad at the kids, or it's not realistic every day. So
Right.
But anyways, unfortunately, Washington doesn't know that Anastasia exists, and so she decides that she should make her hair as much like his, so she can attract his attention. She sleeps with her hair in braids, a whole bunch of them, and the next morning brushes it up instead of down, and it's basically a blonde afro. But when Washington sees her, he just laughs and makes fun of her, and she buys shampoo and goes home sick.
Didn't he ask her if she put her finger in an electric socket
Yes.
or something?
Which I imagine is how it probably looked.
Right.
But, I mean, that sounds kind of fun.
She definitely got his attention.
Yeah, she got his attention. But yeah, not in a good way.
So, guess what part of the list he goes on?
Now he goes on the dislike list. Yeah, that's the best thing about the list, is it goes back and forth. She puts something on one list and then changes her mind, scribbles it out, puts it over on the other list.
Yeah, so that was something at the end of each chapter. Her list is changing, and it gives a list of her likes and dislikes.
I love that. Something she hates, though, is Thanksgiving, because she hates the parade, the football games, and pumpkin pie. And talking to her grandmother, who is 92, and she has Alzheimer's, and she hopes that her dead husband, Sam, might come for dinner, and she makes Anastasia's heart hurt, and it's just not funny at all.
Yeah.
But her trip to sit in on her father's class while she's on vacation before he is very funny. She dresses in her poet outfit, a black turtleneck, and really straight hair. And she's really pleased to see that students are dressed in various forms of poet outfits as well. And she wishes she had some fry boots. Same, girl, same. I know you didn't know what those were, but they're expensive boots that are just very nice. She's a little surprised to see that they're smoking in class, but Awesome Dad's smoking a pipe, so I guess it's all right.
Yeah, back in the
What?
day, though.
In class?
I mean, they were still smoking in theaters then.
I know, in theaters and doctors' offices and airplanes and...
Yep.
That's buck fucking wild.
I am so glad that has changed. I would not be able to go anywhere.
No, you'd die.
Yeah.
So the class is analyzing Wordsworth's I Wandered as a Lonely Cloud. And one kid calls it a crock of shit and apologizes for saying that in front of Anastasia, but Awesome Dad's like, no, it's all right. I'm sure she's heard it before. And Anastasia giggles, thinking that the last time she did was just that morning from Awesome Dad himself.
He said she's heard it before, I'm sure, just not in an educational setting.
Right. Anastasia books got banned. Have been banned a lot, obviously, for saying shit. And they talk about sex stuff later. And but anyways, I just love that whole exchange happens. It's like so very daring and badass for a kid's book. But on the way home, Anastasia and Awesome Dad have a really interesting conversation on the futility of life and the inner eye. And they correlate both to her grandmother. And Anastasia at first thinks that her grandmother has a futility of life until Awesome Dad points out the nurses all say she lives happily in the past. And Anastasia understands she actually has the inner eye.
The inner eye being memories.
Memories, happy memories. Yeah. And being happy in solitude. Yeah. But she doesn't think she herself has any memories at all yet, so she can't have the inner eye. So she has separate conversations with both of her parents about their various love affairs before they met each other. And it's just really great. They're so open and honest with her. Mm-hmm. And it's just really fabulous.
Yeah.
I love it. She decides she has a mercurial temperament.
There you go.
And she wants to be in the delivery room now when her brother's born. But Awesome Dad tells her she can't. It's against hospital rules. And she gets hella pissed off. Yells that she was almost okay with the whole situation, but now she does not like the baby at all. And she storms off to her room and looks at the name she wrote down. That name is One Ball Reilly. She's amazing, and I love her so much.
Yeah. We had a guy in our class that had one testicle.
And everyone knew it?
Everybody knew it.
Of course.
Well, a lot of people knew it, but I never called him any names because I found out how he got one testicle.
Do tell.
He was crawling through a barbed wire fence.
Uh-huh.
And
it just got hung up?
It got caught.
Oh, no!
And ripped open. And to me, that was horrific. So
that is horrific.
I obviously never made fun of him.
Yeah.
Really
but
said
other people
did,
didn't they?
Not around me. They didn't.
Oh, so. Okay. Well, that's good. Because, yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah.
Poor kid. I hope everything turned out all right for him. So Anastasia loses her wart and her grandmother on the same day. She realizes now that she does indeed have memories, but they don't feel good at all. She writes in her notebook that under the things that have happened while she was 10, I have no grandmother all of a sudden, but I have an inward eye for the first time. Damn it, Anastasia. Yeah. So she and Awesome Dad go to the nursing home to pack up her grandmother's things, and they decide she was thinking about the stars and about Sam when she died. And as they're finishing up, a nurse comes in, tells them Awesome Mom just called and the baby's on its way. Anastasia thinks that everything's happening all at once and wonders if losing her wart caused it. While they're at the hospital, Anastasia's just alone in the apartment. Like, okay.
As was I growing up.
Yeah, I was too, at 10. But, like, at night, when you don't know how long your parents are going to be gone for with the baby and everything.
Right.
That's a bit weird. But she's a very independent young lady, so I guess it's fine. Her teacher calls, and she has a nice conversation with her.
Because her teacher had lost her mom.
Yeah. And she was very sorry for Anastasia, and it was really nice. And she also goes and looks at all of her brother's things already, and she decides One Ball would be helpless being so small, and she begins to come around to the idea of him. And when Awesome Dad comes back to get her and takes her to visit him, she decides, okay, he's not a bad baby, and then that she really likes him. And luckily she changes her mind about his name. And it's Sam. I guess that's better than One Ball Reilly, but I'd give it to him as a middle name, but whatever, it's fine. It's fine.
Secretly call him Reilly.
Oh, One Ball. That's what I call him. So that's Anastasia. Our introduction to Anastasia. Did you love it?
It was good. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Did you have feels in this one?
I giggled a couple of times, but
yeah,
yeah, not like. I guess maybe when she was going to the nursing home, maybe a little bit, but not like full on tears.
Okay. Anything problematic?
I cannot think of anything.
They use the word midget on multiple occasions.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And it probably really was acceptable in 1979.
Yeah.
Right?
My oldest brother had a friend, and everybody called him a midget. I mean, it was like if you were just talking about him and said midget, that was fine. Now, if you called him a midget to his face, like you were trying to be derogatory, then everybody would jump on you.
Okay, well, that's good.
Yeah.
But this edition, like I said, was in 93. I don't know if it was acceptable then or not.
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea.
I would think probably not.
Probably. And so I think, like, that's one case where I wouldn't mind, like, fixing it in newer editions and changing it if it's something really derogatory, but doesn't have any impact on the story whatsoever. Like,
Right.
Please don't ever change Huckleberry Finn or To Kill a Mockingbird, because that's all pertinent to the story.
Right.
But it's not in this. It's just, a word where they could just easily say little person.
Yeah, because it was basically her dad was telling her that she couldn't go in to see her brother because she was too small. And she was pointing out that that's ridiculous because there are midgets, and of course they're not going to tell midgets they can't come in and have their babies or see their babies because they're too small.
Yeah. So I mean, there's no need to keep it in now.
Yeah.
But anyways, that was the only thing. That's what I got.
Sweet.
I'm just glad you didn't hate Anastasia.
Yeah.
I would have been very disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, you were playing it up, so.
I know. I'm sorry. I couldn't help it. I was really excited for you to read her.
And I was very tired while I was reading her as well.
You were. So. But you still enjoyed it, so.
Yes.
Great job, Anastasia. And Anastasia.
And there wasn't a whole lot that was superfluous, not needed.
Yeah.
It was pretty much moving the story along each little bit and having entertainment. So
great job, Anastasia. If you've been enjoying our show, please share it or tweet it and tell your friends and enemies. Word of mouth is really the only way podcasts can grow, so we would just really appreciate it. If you like us, share us, please.
And if you don't like us, tell your enemies.
Tell your enemies.
Make them listen to us.
Yeah. Hey, if you tweet it or rate us on iTunes, we'll give you a shout out. Please rate and subscribe to us on iTunes and all the other podcast places, Spotify. Check out our website at fightingoverthecardcatalog.com. Find us on Facebook, Instagram at Fighting Over the Card Catalog, and Twitter at Card Catalog Pod. And email us with any book suggestions or anything, any questions, anything, at fightingoverthecardcatalog@gmail.com. So I'm really glad you liked Anastasia.
I'm glad you're glad.
Because it's time for another Anastasia.
Yeah.
Stacy. Fucking Stacy. With book number 3 next week in the Babysitters Club. The truth about Stacy. Fucking Stacy.
All right.
We're rereading the books of your childhood.
So you don't have to.
Bye.
Bye-bye.